everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally bringing you guys my review of the new Bite Beauty foundation. This is the Changemaker Supercharged Micellar foundation, and everybody's been raving about it. You guys have watched my previous videos. You guys know that I have really struggled getting the right shade in this, and Sephora has actually officially screwed up my order 3 times now. So meaning every single time I've ordered this foundation, they've sent me the wrong shade. First of all, I've never had that happen. In all the times I've ordered from Sephora, I've never had them send me the wrong shade. And now 3 times in a row on this foundation. So needless to say, I am now wearing T100, and I have been wearing this foundation off and on for about a week now. And I really know how I feel about it. There are some things that I like about it, and there are some things that I don't, which I will get into all of that later on in the video. This foundation retails for $39.50. and you get 30 mils, 1 fluid ounce, and it does come in like a squeezy tube, which is not bad. I don't mind the packaging at all. Some people I've heard say they don't really like the packaging, but for me personally, the only thing that I probably don't like about it is that if you get out too much, it's kind of hard to get it back in there. There are 32 shades in this foundation. Now, I will say I do not like the shades on the Sephora website because it looks like they actually cut out stickers of the shade and placed it on the arm. The shades that are in this image that you are seeing right now, those are not the correct shades, because I've actually seen these shades in person at my local Sephora, and those are not the right shades. In the image, T100, T105, and T110 look exactly the same shade. And also, if you look at the dark shades in the deep category, they're pretty light. And when I went in store, like D150 and darker, they were on the darker side. I just feel like if you're gonna buy this foundation and you don't really want to risk the chance of getting the wrong shade, I recommend going to your local Sephora and buying this foundation. That's just me personally, because this image is completely worthless. Like, it does not help you find the right shade. Now, if you go to the Bite Beauty website, they have that same image that they're using on the Sephora, but it does give you a little bit of a dot to where you can kind of see what the shade looks like. If you don't live next to a Sephora and you're struggling trying to find your shade, but you still want to buy it on the Sephora website, go to the Bite Beauty website and pick your shade there. I think you're going to have a better chance of finding your right shade. This foundation is a clean, long-wearing foundation with gentle micellar technology that mimics skin's texture for a natural, flawless finish. It is a medium coverage with a natural finish. Now, let me just say this. The word micellar tells me that it's like something that I've used to clean my face and like clean makeup off of my face. So I was really interested that they used that technology to create the foundation, but this also has antioxidants and super rich superfoods and stuff like that. So this is supposed to be very clean. Now, with that being said, this does have a fragrance. For me, it's not strong fragrance, so the fragrance doesn't bother me, but I don't have the best nose. So I was really surprised that, being that it's a clean formula on the clean section on Sephora, that this actually does contain fragrance. So I've also bought this. So this is the Bite Beauty Changemaker Flexible Coverage Pressed Powder. This comes in 6 different shades. I actually chose medium 1. And it is a clean, talc-free powder made with finely milled volcanic minerals to blur, mattify, and touch up on the go. So I wanted to try this to see how it compared to my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder. You guys know that I love this, but when I heard that this was really finely milled, I wanted to give it a try. On camera, you will see I apply the Charlotte Tilbury on one side and I apply this powder on the other side, and you guys will see the difference between the 2 powders. So let's go ahead and jump right into the application, and I will see you guys in my final thoughts. As per usual, I have already applied the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, and then I did take a little bit of the Cover FX Blurring Primer and stuck it like right here in this area just to kind of blur things out a little bit before I go in with the foundation. On one side of the face, I'm going to apply it with a brush, and then on the other side with a sponge. My preferred way to apply foundation is to kind of put an even layer all over the face with a brush and then kind of go over it with a sponge and kind of press it into the skin. And that's my preferred way, but I know a lot of you guys prefer just strictly a sponge, or you only like to use a brush, so I like to give it a little bit of variety when I'm applying it. So it comes in a squeezy tube, and just like this, it has a little screw cap on. So let's go ahead and apply it on this side with a brush. This is definitely quite warm, but it'll all tone down once I put my concealer and stuff on. I do wear fake tan, and so normally when I'm picking out a shade, I always go a little bit darker than my face, only because I need to match my neck. So that little dot, so this is how much I used. I'll show you. So I used about this much worth of foundation, and it gave me a light medium coverage on this side with a brush. I'm going to go in with a little bit more just so that I can build up coverage and try to get it to like a nice medium coverage. This is really golden. Holy moly. I don't know. I might have to go down a different shade. I don't know. This is really golden. She shade matched me based on the Fenty Beauty foundation, and I don't know. She was kind of pushing me out of there. I don't know. So I'm going to go over this side with a sponge only because it needs something to kind of press it. I feel like it's kind of sitting on top of my skin, so I really need to take a sponge and kind of press it into the skin. And also, once I put concealer on, it will tone down the warmth, but it's very warm. So as far as undertone goes, this is a very strong undertone foundation. I felt like I got a little bit better coverage off the bat by using a sponge. If you guys are like me and you live with a German Shepherd or a hairy dog and you can feel like a hair on your face, grab a spoolie, it'll take it right off. That's what I'm always doing. I've had some people ask me like, why do you take a spoolie and run it across your face? I'm like, oh, because I'm picking up the hair off my face. So I would say I used quite a bit of the foundation, and I probably got a nice light medium coverage. So you could still see these little marks that I have right here coming through. You can still see some of my hyperpigmentation coming through, but this is, I feel like, just a natural finish. I wouldn't say that it's like a full medium coverage. I would say it's like a light medium, but probably a buildable coverage. So that's good. Okay, this foundation is definitely Oompa Loompa. Like, it's really, really orange. If the undertone wasn't so strong, I would totally be able to wear it because it does match, you know, my neck pretty good. Maybe once I put concealer on, maybe it will lighten it up a little bit. See, the concealer kind of toned it down a little bit to where it matches my skin just a little bit better. But the shade is off. I mean, there's no question about it. You know, the Sephora girl was kind of shade matching me, and she said that this one would be the best for me, but I do feel like it probably would be if it wasn't so orange. So because it's really orange, that's what's kind of holding me back from saying that this is a full shade match. So if you guys are my shade, I know that several of you out there do match your foundations based on the shades that I get. I wouldn't get this shade. I would go with maybe a little bit lighter, and maybe I might even get a neutral tone. I don't know, because the golden is really orange. Like, it's pretty orange. But if you're darker than me, you might be able to wear this. I can wear this, but I would prefer it to be a little bit less golden. Okay, so I got the rest of my makeup on. I just need to powder now. So I think on one side, I will just do my like normal routine. This is a very beautiful kind of dewy type of foundation. My thing is, my skin already has a glow to it. So in order for me to wear this and kind of take down the shine a little bit, I do need to put a little bit of powder on, but I thought about, you know, one side applying, you know, this powder, and then on the other side applying just my normal Hourglass translucent setting powder, and then maybe using this right here on the pores area, which is my typical routine. So I'm gonna start with this powder, and I'm gonna dab a little bit of this like right around the chin area. Kind of just slowly work my way up, but not applying a lot of this because I don't want it to get too heavy. Like, it is kind of calming things down, and it feels like a very finely milled powder. So I can appreciate that. I'm going to apply this like right here in this area where I apply the Charlotte Tilbury powder, just to kind of smooth out the pores, just to see how it works. I'm going to go and start with my Hourglass powder first. Now for me and my dry skin, the Hourglass setting powder just works so well. Like, I don't know, I'm just in love with this powder. It just is so good. It's such a good powder. But, you know, based on looking at it, I feel like this just really smoothed it out. That powder did. I don't know that this powder did what this one did. I don't know. I can see a clear difference between the two of them. Maybe I need to add a little bit more powder on this side, so maybe I'll do that in a second. So now I'm just gonna go in with my Charlotte Tilbury powder and just apply a little bit of that right here in this area. Okay, so this is my normal routine, and then this is the Bite Beauty powder. So maybe I need to go in with a little bit more of the Bite Beauty powder just to see if we can get it to kind of look like this side, because this side definitely looks much more smooth. I'm gonna grab this brush and do exactly what I did on the other side. So right away, I still feel like this side looks so much more smooth than this side. Obviously, my hyperpigmentation is coming through right here, and so that might be making it to where it doesn't look as good. But what I'm looking for is this shine that I get on this side that I'm not getting on this side. I think this is a pretty powder, but I still think I prefer my powder just based on looking at it. Okay, so that's it for the application portion of the video. I will see you guys in my first check-in. Okay, so I wanted to pop on here really quick and give you guys an update. So it is 5:02 in the afternoon. So I've had this on since about like 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning, and I am getting really shiny, like all day. I would say probably like 2 or 3 hours in, I started getting more and more shiny. I don't feel oily, but I feel very shiny. So this is the same day that I applied the Hourglass and the Charlotte Tilbury on this side, and then the actual Bite Beauty powder on this side. And I think both of the powders are really not holding down the shine on this one. I don't feel oily, even though it looks like I'm oily. I don't feel oily, but I look oily. So as I'm kind of dabbing my fingers on it, I don't feel sticky or tacky. Like, I feel like the foundation has set down. It's just a very shiny type of foundation. And here's the thing though, just because it's coming through that way here doesn't mean that it's going to do it for you. I'm sitting in front of lights, so lights are definitely going to reflect off of my skin more so than it would if I was using it, you know, in a normal setting, right? So let's go ahead and pull you guys in. I don't feel like the foundation has changed at all though, like as far as coverage. So this is up close and I just, you know, like you can still see my skin coming through, which I really like that about this foundation. I do feel like the color's off. This is definitely my summer shade, not my winter shade. It reminds me a lot of the Dior Forever Skin Glow. It's very similar in the way that this wears. It gives the skin that glow. But without being tacky, sticky, heavy, that type of thing, or really oily. This one actually gives that glowy look without being oily, and I really appreciate that about a foundation. The other side of it is I already have a natural glow to my skin, so sometimes when I wear a glowy foundation, it's too much glow. Especially in front of the lights, it just does not look good on camera, but in everyday world, it does. So I think this is a really pretty foundation. So far, so good. So that's it for this update. I'm going to continue to wear this for the next couple of days just to kind of see, you know, exactly what this foundation is like. But so far, I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's a really pretty foundation. You know, we'll see how it goes, but I'm going to wear it for the next couple days and I will come back and give you guys my full final thoughts at the end. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so I am back to give you guys my final thoughts on the foundation. It is currently almost midnight and I had to wait until almost midnight because I got a later start on applying my makeup today. Okay, so I have you guys zoomed in and as you can see, I've maintained pretty decent coverage. I mean, it's built up right here around my nose. You can see it kind of separating. You can see every time I wear this foundation, it interacts weird with all different concealers. So today I'm actually testing a new concealer, and every single time I've worn this with probably 3 different concealers now, it does this like patchy weirdness. You guys can see that, right? Way that it kind of attaches to my concealer. I don't like my concealer over top of it. I am looking a little dewy. As you can see, I just ran my finger across and you can see that you know, I got a shine to my skin. Normally in everyday lighting or in daylight, it's not going to reflect. So that's not really an issue, but you can still see a lot of my hyperpigmentation coming through, like right through here and then like right up here. It does it looks still pretty good around the hairline. It looks pretty good around my creases. Not the best. Like I've had my foundation look better. But it doesn't look bad. So let me get into my final thoughts about this foundation. I don't love this foundation. There's several reasons why I don't like it. Obviously, let's just take out the fact that it breaks me out. I'm not even going to hold that against it because just because it breaks me out doesn't mean it's going to break you out. I want to make sure I make that clear. Just because it breaks me out doesn't mean it's going to break you out. That is an individual thing. The one thing that I will say that I don't love about this foundation is how hard I have to work to build the coverage. I wish it had a little bit more coverage than it does, but I will say the only way I like to apply this foundation is with this Rephr brush. I have applied it with so many different brushes. I've tried it with the Blendiful. I've tried it with a sponge only. I've tried it with my IT Cosmetics foundation brush. This brush has been the only brush that gives me decent enough coverage to last me throughout the day. The thing that I don't like about it is that it just gets super shiny, and it's not, I mean, yeah, it's really shiny right now in front of the camera, but in real life it gets kind of shiny pretty quickly throughout the day. But the powder is terrible, you guys. I do not like the powder at all. The powder is not dry skin friendly. This is definitely for those of you out there who have combo and oily skin. It's just very mattifying. So definitely keep that in mind. It is a mattifying powder. I just would not touch it if you're dry skinned. This is claiming to be a clean formula. The thing that kind of struck me weird is that it says it's a micellar foundation. Like the micellar is in the description of the foundation. And I know that I've used micellar water to wash my face off.
So it's interesting that they chose that component to put into the ingredients, only because that is what we use to remove our foundation. So the thing that I don't like about this is that I feel like it kind of lifts a little bit. Somewhat similar to the struggle I had with the Pat McGrath. Like, some places it can get patchy. Now today it looks better than it ever has, and the reason for that is I used the Varsali liquid powder. This is the new oil balancing serum. I use this all over the face, and this kind of grabs it and kind of holds it together. The other times that I've worn it, it's kind of wore off like in this area and gotten really patchy looking and kind of gross. I feel like there's better foundations out there. Now, don't get me wrong. I think this is a beautiful foundation. I feel like it's a decent foundation for several people. I don't think everybody's going to love it, but I think it's a decent foundation. Like, on a scale from 1 to 5, I would give it like a 3.5, 4. I don't feel like it's like the best foundation I've ever used, and I don't feel like it's the worst. I feel like it's just kind of in the middle. It's a decent foundation, does a decent enough job. I do have to be careful with what primers I wear with it, because if the primer, because I'm dry skin, I always want to go in with moisture, but the problem is this kind of can get dewy after a while, and it can get patchy. So there's several days that I wore this that it kind of broke away from the skin and it got patchy, especially in this area. So if you have this foundation and that's happening to you, I recommend not using a hydrating primer with it. Maybe using something like a gripping primer or even like an oil balancing primer, which seems weird because when you're dry skin, normally you never have an oil balancing primer in your collection, because why would you? The thing that aggravates me about the foundation is that they are, advertising it as this super clean formula and it's clean on Sephora, but yet it has fragrance in it. I just kind of feel like if you're going to be clean, you got to be clean, because there's a lot of you out there. I'm not one of them that bothers me. I pretty much have a lot of different types of foundations, but I know there's a lot of you out there that have really sensitive skin, and the last thing you want to do is be putting fragrance on your face. And when you think in your mind that it's clean, but yet it has fragrance. So keep all of that in mind. If you have sensitive skin, I recommend definitely looking over the ingredients before purchasing this, because I think there might be some things in there that might not be as clean as you might need it to be. But then sometimes I feel like the clean is another gimmick for them to kind of shove products down your throat. So sometimes I'm always guarded when I hear the word clean. Just because there's a lot of products that claim to be clean but are not clean. But I like this foundation. I don't love it, but I like it. Even though it says it's a medium coverage, I would say this is a light medium coverage. You can build it, but the more you put on of this foundation, the more it starts to pull away from the skin. So it's like I have to put an even layer, and I can't double up. Like, I can't go in certain areas and add a little bit more, because when I do that, that's when it really lifts from my skin. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I need that extra coverage, but yet if I go in with the extra coverage, it will pull and peel away from my skin, and it just won't last longer than like 8 hours. So I have to find that happy medium. If I'm having a really good skin day that day, then I could wear something like this. And my hyperpigmentation is starting to fade a little bit more because I've been using a really, really good retinol cream that has just been really helping my hyperpigmentation, which I did not think was possible. But with all of that said, there are things that I love about this, and then there's things that I'm just like, yeah, I just think it's a little bit overhyped. That's it for my review of this foundation. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I love you all so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye.